Hi, I'm Suzanne Castle, and this is the Thought Leader Thursday. I'm here today introducing you to another incredible leader, thinker, doer, and all-around amazing human who's going to help each of us think about our world a little bit differently than anyone else. From artists to teachers, from actors to moms, from the big names to the you didn't know about them till now names, my hope is that you will connect with a leader who helps you light up in your corner of this galaxy. This is the Thought Leader Thursday show. Hi, welcome back to the Thought Leader Thursday. My name is Suzanne Castle, and in just a few moments, I'm going to introduce you to an amazing, dynamic, incredible lady leader who is totally killing it in the tech industry. I cannot wait, but hang on. Because first and foremost, I want you to think it's October. I hear it's kind of an important month. She's going to tell us about that here in a minute. But Garrett, cybersecurity is a big thing right now. All tech things, I don't always have good times with tech. So let me ask you, have you ever been hacked in some way?
I was thinking about this. I think, at least twice in my bank account. Both times not too terrible, which is lucky. One time, I think it was like $200 was taken out. And that was actually bad because I was in college and I was like, that's my life savings.
Yes.
But the other time I had, I think 25 cents taken out in like Vermont, but I noticed it for whatever reason. I was like, I think I was transferring money or something. I was like, what is this?
Right.
And I guess I was talking to my dad about it because I went into the bank, told them they closed it and did everything they needed to. But my dad was just saying like, oh yeah, sometimes they'll do small transactions to see if you notice and then they'll do the big ones.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, so I'm on top of it. And then that was a few months after the $200, so I was just like, not again, like this can't happen. And I had to get another debit card after that. I was like, why does this keep happening?
Which is the biggest pain.
Yeah, but that was it, and that was, like I said, luckily not too bad, but.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, I am so excited because in the studio here beside me, I am so excited to welcome Shinesa Cambric, who is an established IT security professional in her own right. But currently, she is sprinkling all the goodness all over Microsoft because she's a principal program manager. Here's the thing. She holds all these letters behind her name, which are these amazing credentials in cybersecurity. She has strategic expertise in designing identity management, governance solutions, all kinds of cloud-based platforms, all those things that we're using all the time. You're putting yourself at risk. She builds all sorts of risk programs for people. She provides unique subject matter. She teaches the intersection of government, risk, compliance with IT. She is unreal. And that is not all. Here's the thing. Her work's been featured all over, like Bright Talk. Anybody using those kind of classes? Yeah, she's all over that. Signs, magazines, etc. But she's really big on promoting diversity inside cybersecurity, and there's not enough of that. She empowers women. She mentors women. That's how I met her, through the International Association of Women. We are both members there. And currently, she's also a volunteer. She does things with like Fairy God Boss. She does things with blackgirlshack.org. She is all over the place. And today, she's spending a little time inside the studio with me and Garrett to talk all things cybersecurity. Shinesa, welcome. Thanks for driving over and being here in person.
You have me so pumped up right now.
Yay, well, you have me pumped up because I have so looked forward to this, but I know October is an important month in your field. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You'll see a lot of, advertisement about how you can be more secure, about how important cyber is in your life, and, training and awareness and all that good stuff.
That's great, because I need that, because here is the thing. I'm going to tell a little bit about my story in a minute, but I got hacked like big time. Like they tried to take $900,000 out of an account that let's have a moment. I do not have that much money in any one account, and nor should you. But they tried, and it has wreaked havoc upon my life. And I think when I think of tech industry folks, I'm thinking of like, just everybody go with me for a moment. I know I'm making like broad swath assumptions here, but like the people that are like living in their basement and they're a little rough around the edges and they're super nerdy, they love their hoodies, and then you walk into the room with all your glamorous self and you are just shattering that ceiling about cybersecurity everything. So talk to me, because I know that sometimes you're that only person in the room that looks like that. So what is it that you enjoy the most about being in this IT cybersecurity world?
Yeah. So I really love to problem solve. Ever since I was like in 6th grade, I had a teacher who said, Shinesa needs a challenge. And I find that to be true. And cyber is definitely a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Things are always changing. IT's changing. There's so much growth in the industry. There's always a new attack, a new hacker, those type of things. So I really enjoy that piece of it. And then I also enjoyed the fact that I am different. I can bring a different perspective to the table. Maybe there's some of these attacks and things that are happening because different people haven't, contributed their ideas to the situation.
Right. And I love the fact that as a woman, you're bringing your voice to the table, because whether or not we want to say that people think the same, they don't. How you're brought up, what you've been exposed to, what you read, who you are, all of that changes. And I do think that women problem solve differently than men for the most part. So having you at the table allows, I hope, those challenges to kind of dissipate a little bit, because I think maybe you're looking at things a little bit differently than other people in the room. Are you finding that to be true?
I do find that to be true. And, I don't want to just limit it to, being a woman, but there's all sorts of types of diversity.
Right.
So having different types of people in the room, and that's why I'm a big advocate of diversity within cyber. So.
Yeah, and there's not enough of that, I don't think. And I think everybody watching this show right now, like, bring your little girls in the room, grandmas, grandpas, bring your grandkids in the room, because anybody can go into this field. And I know it's a field that's emerging, that's changing, that has dynamic forces on top of it. And I think sometimes it seems scary because it's like, oh, it's computer. And for, my artsy self, I really appreciate those kinds of people because I don't have that kind of brain. But there are so many people who do, and I want them to have those opportunities. I know a lot of your volunteer work centers on that. And so I just want to say thank you for all the little girls' lives that you're changing.
Oh, thank you so much. And I want to go back to the point where you said, your brain doesn't think that way.
It doesn't.
There's a piece of tech for everybody. There's a piece of cyber that anybody can fit into. Especially creative people, you think differently than the rest of us. So there's problems for you to solve within cyber. And thinking back to, there's like 500,000 empty cyber jobs.
Holy cow.
We need all the people we can get.
500,000 empty cyber jobs.
Yes.
That's an astounding number.
Astounding, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so when I got hacked, that same thing happened to me that happened to Garrett. Over the course of a couple of months, when I went back, I noticed weird charges from this random place in Kentucky at a license plate place. It ended up being a chop shop. Find out later when we had to file all sorts of things with the police department and the whatnot. And so I think people need to be paying attention more. I think as we automate things, it just goes outside of our purview. When before I could barely balance my checkbook, just to ask my parents. And I would go through that, but it was in front of you all of the time. And I think now it's reserved kind of out there in this ether nether world over here. And so we're not always paying attention to those 29-cent transactions that go through. And I know part of that is that you are helping people understand ransomware attacks. It seems to me like they're happening more frequently, and that may or may not be true. Maybe we're just hearing about them. But what are you noticing about the attacks that are happening right now?
Yeah. And so I do want to say that, ransomware has been happening for quite some time. Before it used to be less apparent, probably because we were a less digital society.
Right.
Attackers have been able to get away with ransomware all this time, and so they're getting more and more bold, and you see bigger things happening. And then, with us using IT more and more, of course, there's that stake for them that we're easy targets now. We're easier targets. So I don't think it's necessarily increasing. It's just the scale and the scope is getting bigger. Sometimes I think about in the Men in Black movie, there's a part of the movie where Will Smith says, we need to tell everybody, these spaceships are getting ready to attack.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Lee Jones says, the only way that people go on about their happy lives is they don't know this is happening. And I think with ransomware, that's kind of where it has been, for a while, so people just didn't know it was happening. Security people knew, but the rest of the world didn't know.
Right. And I think now we know because like a school district gets hacked or a hospital system, right? And that makes the news. Right. But like Joe Schmo business owner stuff doesn't make the news.
Right. Everybody's online now. So,
right. Right. So are you seeing the way that you show up in those spaces change as well? Or are you that person going, well, I've been telling you this all along?
Well, it's a little bit of both, I think. Like, you always want to caution your friends and family to be careful, be cautious with what you do with your digital identity.
Right.
You don't know who's, on a particular website or who's tracking you, those type of things. But then it's also, there's new ways of attacks now. You think about a car, think about a Tesla, think about things like that. There's new digital footprint all over the place for us.
Yeah, I know my partner, Brian, he used to work with Navy Special Warfare. And some of the stuff that he says is, oh, we need to go back to floppy disks. Like one of the things that they tell them all the time is it's so easy to just with those little sticks to hack things. And there are ways to protect yourself. And I know that you want to talk to us a little bit about that. And I want to be sure we've got plenty of time for that. So would you, it just seems so overwhelming when I think about all the places I'm digital. Right. And I've been one of the, like, I'm not trying to offend anyone out there in the cyber universe. I'm really glad that you're watching the show. Please continue to watch the show. But like, I don't have Alexa. I don't have any of that. That's just a step that I'm not ready to take in my world. But I mean, I have an iPhone. Like, let's all be like, I'm being tracked everywhere and everything that I do, my bank, my debit card, et cetera. I'm not a totally cash person. Right. Yeah. But and so it is overwhelming to think about security and how you can keep your things safe and still show up and be happy, like live a happy life. Right. What I talk about. So what is something that you would say to this non-IT person sitting next to you today about IT security and how to keep ourselves safe?
Well, first of all, I would say, don't think of it as something that's way out there, that's, nerdy, that's, all these high tech type of things. It's basically keeping your digital information safe. You put a lock on your doors, you may have an alarm. Right. You don't think about, attackers in that situation as being something that's way out of scope. So starting small, one of the things that people really need to do is make sure you're using those things called multi-factor authentication. When you think about your bank account and it asks you for an additional PIN or additional information to say, I need to certify who you are, turn that stuff on. That's the biggest thing to start with. That's a real big roadblock for attackers right there.
And so why is that? Why I'm the person, maybe somebody out there's like me, when I see, I'm like, I have to pick out the 4 fire hydrants again for like the 10th time today, right? So talk to us about I don't even know what that is, what that means.
Yeah, and with multi-factor authentication, essentially that's just saying, I need multiple pieces of information about you to confirm you are who you say you are. It shouldn't be, necessarily overwhelming in that, it's bits and pieces. So, think of a PIN. Right. You have a PIN number for your debit card. You have a password for your bank account when you go online. Right. You may need to marry multiple pieces of information together to get into something.
So talk to me a little bit about what are some basic steps that a Joe Schmo person like me could do besides multi-factor authentication? What are some other things as a business owner, as a leader, as just someone walking in the digital world today should be aware of when it comes to cybersecurity?
One thing is making sure that you're cautious, especially, when you think about things like email. There's this concept of what we call phishing. Right. So people may send you an email. You may think it's, somebody that you're doing business with, but you need to certify, you need to confirm before you're sending money to somebody, before you're sending, private information to that person, because that's an easy way for an attacker to get to you as an individual, to you as a business.
Right. So when you see those come through, like I get them from Amazon all the time. I obviously order a lot of things from Amazon. So, but I get those, and sometimes the font looks a little different. Exactly. Something just looks, and if you look at the reply line, like that, I've learned to look at the reply line before I open anything to see if it looks strange.
So you are super techie.
Yay! Look at there. Garrett, did you hear that? I am a super techie person.
You get a gold star. So yes, you definitely should be looking at the sender, the information, clicking on those little things to make sure that email address matches up to what you're expecting. Look for special characters, look for language that's out of order. Those are red flags that this may not be the person you think it is.
Right. I know that there's a lot of people, I know that you help with cloud strategies a lot. And I tend to be an Apple person because since 1984, I've had an Apple. It just gets my brain. Sorry, Microsoft. So there's cloud, there's like iCloud with there. People use Google Drive. There's OneDrive. There's all these different places. Are there things that we can do when we're looking at using that as a platform for sharing? Inside our business, if we're loading up pictures for grandma and grandpa or whatever we're doing, are there extra things we can do in those spaces to keep it a little more secure?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So making sure the settings that you have on those, that they're set to, private or restricted or particular people. Don't leave that information wide open to where anybody with a link can click on it and get that. Yeah. So, even thinking about just your pictures, you would think that's harmless information. But as we're evolving as a society, think about biometrics and how the fact that your face can unlock your phone.
Right.
So being careful with all the things.
Wow. So how do you show up every day and just not be afraid?
For me, it's kind of like, putting on that superhero cape, right? Like this is my battle. I love Marvel movies.
Yes.
And I love the fact that, you have this part of the scene where, the hero may be down and, they're trying to figure out a way to come back, but eventually they do come back. Eventually we do get on top. Eventually we do win.
Right.
It may be a long, drawn out battle, but eventually we're going to win.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about Marvel. I'm not in the Marvel universe very well. I like the Marvel movies I've seen. I like superhero stuff, but for whatever reason, I'm way behind the power curve. So who is your favorite? If you had to pick one, who would you pick out of the Marvel superhero universe?
So I'm going to go with Captain America.
Oh, really?
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Why?
He's my favorite. I don't know. I just get him.
You get him.
We're here.
You're here. All right. That's good. That's okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm such a Star Wars person. I had somebody on who's a Facebook person.
So you really are a tech nerd. You're all the things are starting to come out.
If you ask my daughter, I'm a total nerd.
All the secrets are coming out.
Yeah, I'm totally into science fiction. Like I'm that nerd. That's true. Okay, every single show, at the end of the show, I ask the guest, because this is the Sparkle Factor is my brand. I'm trying to help people unleash that kind of inner light that's in them to show up every day and do amazing things in the world. So I'd like to know what your definition is of what it means to sparkle.
So I would say there's two things. There's one, how you show up to other people and how you help build other people up. The other piece is being intentional about who you want to be and about what brings you joy and doing things that, just feel good to you.
I love that. See, looky there. I am so excited that you were here. Thank you. You drove over and you're going to have barbecue. It's Cybersecurity Month. Like this could not have been any more perfect at all. Shinesa, thank you from the bottom of my heart
Thank you, Suzanne,
for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that you will stand by. Our next episode is going to feature another amazing thought leader who's going to rock your world. I'm Suzanne Castle. This is the Thought Leader Thursday.